but you should utterly condemn torture. It really doesn't work.
Douglas Murray?
Well, of course. I mean, everyone condemns torture, but the problem with the waterboarding issue was that the President was given the advice by his legal advisors that waterboarding did not constitute torture. Now, this country believes that it does.
Do you believe that it does or not?
And I think it's very much borderline. I don't think it's particularly... I don't think it's torture in the sense that most people... I don't think it's torture in the sense that most people describe it as. I mean, you know, look, put it this way. Everyone agrees that, for instance, pulling out people's fingernails is torture. It's medieval, barbaric torture. Waterboarding has actually been tried by quite a lot of people, quite often used in anti-interrogation techniques by special forces. A friend of Clive's and mine, Christopher Hitchens, underwent it for Vanity Fair magazine at the request of the editor.
And decided it was torture within 5 minutes.
And he decided it was torture. But I'm just saying that there was an actor in the BBC series Spooks who got waterboarded as part of his method acting. Now, he didn't get his fingernails pulled out for method acting. The editor of Vanity Fair didn't send one of his columnists to have their fingernails pulled out for method acting.
Douglas, that's a totally artificial distinction. You're saying it's not torture if they don't physically harm you. I mean, you're suggesting that white noise, because waterboarding doesn't actually remove part of the body or inflict physical injury.
It's obviously in a grey area, and George Bush's legal advisors told him that it was not illegal. Now, the question is whether or not the ends justified means by that. I think they do. I think the figure that the President gave out in his book is that 100 people, there were 100 people captured, 30 of those people were put into a CIA interrogation scheme, and of those, 3 people were waterboarded. Well, we have heard for years from all sorts of lobby groups and all sorts of decent people, but nevertheless, we have been hearing for years that America tortures, George Bush is a war criminal, and so on. It turns out that 3 people were waterboarded by the American officials. I think that if that saved lives, it was worth it. It was a good call.
Okay.
But one of the people, at least, who was waterboarded, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, has given, we know, a lot of information.
All right. Yes.
If Douglas Murray believes that waterboarding is a kind of in-between, not sure, grey area of torture or not, then I'd like him to actually, or anybody else in this room, to actually suffer this treatment and then come back.
Nobody is saying it is a nice thing. Nobody is saying it's a nice thing.
Yeah, I mean, the UN, under international law, defines torture as anything that causes physical and mental harm. It's torture. There's no grey area. It's not borderline. It is torture.